Welcome into another edition of Hornet Nation Unfiltered. Travis Jarome joined today by none other than, if you're a softball fan around Alabama State, the name is familiar, the face will be familiar to you, the voice will be familiar to you. Finished her career second all-time in hits, second in home runs, which I know we'll talk about that in a little while. But one of the all-time greats here at Alabama State, Kendall Core. Kendall, good to have you join us here today, especially with what has transpired recently for you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about now before we talk about softball. For those that don't know, you've got a new addition.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about the new addition. Talk about the life of being a mom now.
Yeah. So I have a 7-week-old baby named Gianna. We live in Florida now. I'm engaged. A lot has changed from 3 years ago at Alabama State, but I'm loving the mom life, getting used to it. So things are good.
You know, off the air, before we went on the air, and I've got to go ahead and just do this while we first start. When you were here, you started off as a blonde. Then you went brunette, which is when I saw you, because I asked you who the blonde person was in your profile picture. And now we go to more of a brown with the highlights. Talk about the hairstyle today, huh?
Yeah, I came to ASU as a blonde, wanted to switch things up to go dark. Now it's just kind of all over the place, grown out. I haven't really been quarantined, so getting my hair done has not been the top priority right now.
Well, and I think that's a lot of what's going on with everybody right now. But now let's talk about you at Alabama State. You came in to a program that had really not made a whole lot of noise in the SWAC. What made you come to Alabama State first off?
So for me, my story is a little different. The recruiting part of it. Awesome softball player. I've always been an athlete. The school side, not so much, which I kind of regret now. But so the recruiting for me, I started out getting a lot of big looks at a young age, middle school. When it was time to take SAT scores, that's when those kind of big schools went away. So ASU was kind of my last Division I option, and that was my goal, to go Division I. So I went with the idea of maybe transferring out after 1 year. But when I got there, I started and played every game. I just felt at home at ASU, and I stayed, and I think it was the best decision I've made. I wouldn't be where I'm at now without it. So I think that's just how I got to ASU all the way from California.
Well, let's talk about how fortunate ASU that was to get you here. You talk about, you're glad that ASU was still here, and it was basically your last Division I offer. But you end your career 213 hits total, 30 home runs total, finished 2 hits behind the single season record, and then career record, and 1 home run shy of the career record. What does that tell you as far as, your decision to stay here after you arrived?
I think when I knew that I wanted to stay there, I knew we were in the transition of getting a new coach. Coach Chris came in my sophomore season. So I think that gave me hope to just try to see what's going to come for the future of the program. And as soon as I knew I was staying, I just locked in and gave it my all. And that's what I try to show my girls as a coach now, just to give it your all every single game. And that's what I did as a player. So
as a player, you got to play in the postseason. Not a lot of players get to say that, and you did it more than once. Just talk about the ability and the fortune you had of getting to that postseason.
So before we even went to postseason, just winning the first ever SWAC championship for the program, I think that was I could speak for a lot of my teammates. That was one of our best days of our life. Still, we talk about it. Besides having my daughter, that was the top one now. But yeah, by far, that was the best day ever. So by going to Gainesville to the to the regionals, that was just a dream come true for every softball player. So just being on the field was surreal, looking around, we're in the NCAA postseason tournament. So that was pretty awesome.
Now, this is something I know that we've talked about, and we talked about it a lot during towards the tail end of your career. How hard was it on you mentally chasing down those records?
So junior year, I didn't think about it. I think junior year was by far my best year ever. playing in 4 years. Wasn't thinking about records. I wasn't thinking about how many more I have to get. I was just playing ball, and that's when I had my best numbers. But senior year came around, and everybody was like, oh, you got to hit 10 home runs. You got to hit your second in RBIs, your second in all-time hit. Like, it was just, I kind of thought about it a lot towards the end, and I think that's what kind of kept me away from beating those records. But, I mean, I don't look back. I gave them all every single game, so.
So mentally for you, let's put this out there and just ask the question early. We were going to save it for late. Is it harder for you at the plate, or was it harder for you mentally playing third?
So it's weird. When I first, as a freshman, sophomore, I hated playing defense. Hated it. I was way more confident as a hitter. Definitely. I feel more confident at hitting than I did at third base all 4 years, but towards junior and senior year, I loved third. I wanted the ball every single time it got hit. So I think defense and offense for me was both equally as fun. But I mean, everybody talks about my game face at the plate, so I guess I'm more confident at the plate.
So since you threw the game face out there, you know where this question's going. Talk about the game face. Talk about the eye black. Talk about just getting ready to play, and especially for those that didn't get to see you play maybe but a couple times and think, well, who's that girl out there playing third and has got all that eye black? They don't realize you do that every single game.
Yeah, I didn't miss a game. I probably spent so much money on eye block, but we'll talk about that later. My favorite player to watch play, I tried to idolize every aspect of the game, is Sierra Romero. From her game face to her eye block to her ponytail to her dark hair. So I guess that's where I got my dark hair from. But so yeah, I just stepped in the box, and my eye block, I guess, and my face spoke for itself.
Well, let's delve a little deeper into the eye black, since you're trying to be shy about the eye black.
My God.
Folks, let me explain to you about Kendall and the eye black. It starts well before you get to the field.
Yeah.
This starts on the bus before the bus pulls out of behind ASU Stadium. First ever road trip I took, the first thing I heard is, hey, who's got the eye black? So, is it one of those that if you get on the bus and don't have it, if you get to the stadium and didn't have it, did it mess with you? Is it one of those things you thought about before you got on the bus that, hey, I've got to have this. If I don't, I don't know how I'm going to play?
Oh, definitely. So when I'm packing my bags before any trip or before any game the day before, I'm always making sure like I have a fresh stick of eye black in there because, it melts. We use it so many times. All my teammates know I have it, so everybody used it. So I always had to make sure I had one. Definitely if I got on the bus and I didn't have it, I would probably not play good and not be game focused.
Well, we can honestly say that you have rubbed off on some people. JJ wore it religiously the last couple of years.
Awesome.
Not to the extent she wore it, but she still wore it. But just when you go back and you look at your career and you talk about, your game face and you talk about, you just want the ball hit to you and we can laugh about, and sit back and enjoy the moments with the eye light. But then you go back and you look at your numbers. You finished 213 career hits. You had 30 home runs. You scored 86 times. You knocked in 154 runs. What does that tell you about your legacy that you left here at Alabama State? Not really in a program that was where it is today when you came in.
So just going off of where when I was started in the program, I had a great player on my team, Megan Dixon. She was she's the home run leader. I wanted to be just like her. She was the best player on the team. She just led by example, and she honestly taught me how to be a leader. She taught me how to have confidence, not be scared to just go play ball because I know I'm a good player. So looking back, I think she was a big reason why I wanted to be so great. And she left the program, an amazing career. So I think just giving it my all every single season, that's just what happened. And I'm just grateful that I was able to have that much success, and just to see where my class left the program, it's still going up. So I think that's a proud alumni moment for sure.
You bring up your class. Talk about that class of teammates you had. You had Val, you had Laura, you had Brittany, you had Perry, you had Alexia. Just talk about that's your senior class.
Yeah.
And that's not even mentioning the girls that were still here after you left. That's just the girls that you played with. Those were your seniors. Those were the girls that came in with you or came in at some point during that time with you. Just talk about that senior class.
Definitely, I couldn't have asked for a better class to go out with, to spend my 4 years with. Still to this day, we're all very close. We're like sisters. I was very fortunate to have such great teammates. Val hitting behind her, that wasn't easy. Perry hitting behind me, I just wanted to get on so I could score when she hits me in. Laura, she's incredible. Alexia, sorry. I can name them all. Reese, Brittany, Deanna. They were just all such amazing group of girls, and we all pushed each other. We all learned from each other. I think that's why we were so great, especially the seniors we had before us. That year was incredible also. So we just got lucky with a great group of girls.
You know, you use the word great a couple of times when you're describing that class, but the program can be considered great right now because that class helped start a run of 5 straight championship games, 2 titles.
Yeah.
And didn't just abandon the team after graduation. I mean, I remember championship games, seeing you and your teammates standing behind the backstop, blocking everybody else's view so you could cheer on your teammates. But just talk about just the program. You talk about it going up, but the foundation was laid by players like Megan Dixon, Kendall Core, Val, Laura, everybody that played at some point from about 2013 till now.
Yeah. So coming in, my best friend, Elisa, she was our catcher. Her and Megan both, I could give all my credit to, is they taught me true leadership. They taught me just how to be confident. That whole class, when we added the transfers from Sierra College, they just fit in great. And when Coach Chris came along my sophomore year, like you mentioned before, 5 straight championship games, she came in and set the tone of a winning mentality. She refused to lose, and we just all bought into that. And that was basically our goal every season. If we weren't in that championship game, we didn't have a good season. We can go undefeated in the whole SWAC, and if we choked in the conference tournament, we were so mad. So I think just having that mindset really helped us just be great, like I said.
When you talk about that team, you talk about that championship run, how hard was it to realize you had to play the entire game and it wasn't a run rule in effect? Did you catch yourself celebrating when you thought the game was over originally, or did you have to just kind of settle back in and say, okay, we got to play 7?
Yeah, I remember turning around and asking the umpire, I'm like, hey, do we get to play 5 innings or we have to play this thing out? And he's like, we're going 7. I'm like, oh, okay, great. And it was like 100 degrees. We're playing on turf. It was so hot, but our adrenaline was so high. We honestly, I didn't really feel any of that. We just were ready to keep hitting. We scored, I think, 17 runs. So
when you talk about that game, and I know you can remember this, how quick did the celebration happen? How quick did the pile start? How quick did things just kind of go to another level?
Well, crazy enough, I got the last ball hit to me in the game, in the 5-6 hole. And I remember fielding it. And when I don't even remember throwing the ball to first. I just threw it and I went. Char was pitching at the time. And as soon as I think Carly caught the ball at first, I just ran to the circle, and that's when it happened. I just hugged Char, and then everybody else came after that, and it was a dog pile.
When you talk about your playing career, we've talked about the numbers. We talked about everything else. What made you decide to get into coaching?
Well, like I said, school's never been my thing. I came to ASU undecided. I didn't know what major I wanted to do. My coach my freshman year kind of was like, oh, you're a good people person. You just get into communications. I'm like, okay, sure. So no clue what I was going to do with that. And then when it was time to graduate, I'm looking for jobs, and I'm seeing that, okay, I could go the GA route. I could get my master's paid for somewhere. I knew I was moving down to Florida with my fiance. So I was from California. I knew nobody in Florida. I was just looking for jobs, and I found the one that I'm at now at Weber International. I started as the GA, got my master's paid for in sports business administration. So that was a blessing. And then I knew that I wanted to stay in the game. So my coach now offered me the full-time paid assistant job. And it's just my passion. I knew coaching is what I need to be doing. I love giving back to the girls. I still like just being a leader, not only for them, but just for the game of softball. I just like giving back, and having them look up to me is this really cool feeling.
So before we talk about more of your coaching and what has transpired over time, the ultimate question is, and I think I asked you this on Twitter a couple of years ago, do you wear the eye black when you coach now?
No, Travis, I gave up the eye black. But I do put the eye black on my girls every game because they want it to look like black.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I put it on my girls.
Do you still use the same patterns that you use when you play?
Yeah, for sure.
So now let's talk about coaching a little bit. Just the way that things have happened at with the spring. How tough was that in the spring to have to meet with the team and say, hey, we're not playing anymore?
So this year we had a great group of girls. And when I say great, it reminded me of our 2016 championship team feeling. We had 11 seniors. So this was basically last year we came up short of the championship game. This was our year to kind of get redemption and finish business. So telling them that our season's canceled, and we found out through Twitter. We didn't get a phone call. We didn't get anything notified. We found out through Twitter that the NAIA has canceled indefinitely for the spring. So they found out first. They're sending us the tweet. It was a lot. Definitely wish we could have found out in other ways, but so we could have told them better. But we just finished practice up, and they went home, and they're going to shower and eat, and they sent us the tweet. So we had to call them back to the field and have a quick little team meeting. And there was a lot of cries. A lot of seniors realized that was it for them.
So when you talk about the kind of year you were having and your girls, 11 seniors, and how tough it was and how you found out, what's the message moving forward?
So it happened so quick. We didn't know if they were going to get granted another year. We didn't know if, because at first they postponed the NAIA. We didn't get canceled right away. So we had hope that we could still play. And then that was the day that they said, nope, it's canceled indefinitely. So it was kind of like they got their hopes up. So from there, my head coach and I were just thinking of ways to make this better. We didn't have a senior day. We didn't have a lot of things that you celebrate as a senior, and that you get to leave your mark at your field for your last game. So I think we just came up with a plan, like, what are we going to do next? So we said we're going to have our senior day in the fall if we can get back to school in the fall. I think we just found out like through 2 weeks later that the NAIA is granting them another year. So then we sat down and we're like, okay, who's going to come back? Who can't come back? Who's eligible? Who's not? We had some grad students already, so they're done. They can't come back. So it was a lot to kind of figure out, but definitely heartbreaking for sure.
When you move forward to the fall and you're still looking at the uncertainties of what's going on, how do you and your head coach start planning for the year, not knowing really what's going to happen if you're going to get pushed to a summer season, if you're going to play in the spring? How does that affect you, because you've been there as a player, but now mentally as a coach, you have to prepare those players for something?
It's definitely stressful. We talk about it all the time. What if that season gets canceled? What if we don't get to start playing in the spring? We have 8 of the 11 seniors coming back. So we're filling 11 shoes with our recruits coming in. So our team is huge in the fall. And so it's just a lot to think about, a lot to plan for. Like you said, I don't think we really can plan with the government being in control of this. So we're just kind of playing it by ear, I guess, but definitely going to make the best out of it. We just got to play it by ear, I guess.
So you talk about being from California. Let's go back to Kendall before Alabama State. First off, how's the family doing in California? I mean, you're in Florida, one of the states that's basically about to be quarantined as a whole state.
Yeah.
You have family in California. We've already been through it here in Alabama. So you've touched your feet have touched in 3 states that have really, really been hit. First off, how's the family doing in California?
They're awesome. They're doing good. They're missing the grandbaby. My mom actually flies out next weekend, so she'll get to see the baby again. But they're good. Grandparents are good. So
now let's talk about Florida a little bit. How hard is it for you to be sitting in a house not being able to go do anything?
So I know you know me, but those who don't know me, it drives me crazy to not be doing anything. So just being quarantined and having a newborn has been tough, but we are making the best out of it. We go on family walks. That's about the extent of getting out, I guess, for now.
So for those that are curious, when Kendall says she really doesn't communicate well with a lot of people, that she's just a people person, don't let Kendall fool you. She is. If you walk up and see how and if you're watching this, you see the smile on her face, she will talk. And once you talk to Kendall, it is something that you'll never forget. It'll be something in a good way. It's something that you'll remember, especially as a student athlete. But, talk about when you came to college as a freshman, you didn't know anybody, and you just open up when your teammates and everybody get around you.
Yeah. So I think I had one friend going into the team, and that was Elisa, my best friend now. She kind of took me under her wing when I came on my official visit. She took me to the football game. So I was a senior in high school, and she was a freshman at the time. So, and then we just kept in touch going into my freshman year, and that was my best friend for all the 3 years I got with her. But yeah, knowing nobody else really, the way I am is I just make myself friends with everybody. So,
and correct me if I'm wrong. You may not remember this, but the first trip I ever went on, I'm sitting in a seat up around Jeremy and Chris, and you get on, and the first thing you do is introduce yourself.
Yep.
So that kind of tells you right there, for somebody who didn't think that they were, not a people person, that puts you head and tails above everybody.
Yeah.
So you ready for some little rapid fire questions just to kind of see how you, and these are just going to put you on the spot a little bit now. But first, The first question is, why the number?
Well, I was a freshman on varsity going into high school, and everybody had, I was number 23, they had that. I was number 5, they had that. 16, they had that. So I was like, you know what, just give me 00. Like, no one has it. No one's ever been it. I'll be 00. And then when I got to college, no one was 00, but at the time it was weird. My freshman year, I started out as number 17 in the fall. And then come springtime, I got to be 00. I don't know how, but I was thankful. The jersey was 3 sizes too big on me, but I didn't care. I just wanted to be 00. So when Chris got there, we got new jerseys, and I got my actual size. So I didn't look as big as I was. But, I was in like a 2X jersey, men's. So it was funny.
As we try to compose ourselves after that one, you ready? Yeah. All right, here we go. I'm just going to throw some words. I want you to tell me what comes to mind. Texas Southern.
Oh, enemies.
I like the reaction first before you said anything.
All right. Yeah, my face gives it away.
Jeremy Leak. And there's a memory I know that you have with Jeremy when your bat kind of came out of your hands.
Yeah. Yeah, that was did you want me to tell that quick story?
Oh, you can tell the story. Whatever you want to share with your fans. Remember, it's the last I checked, your fans were the ones that wanted to know what time this was coming out. So. Oh
God. So my first actual individual practice with Chris and Jeremy in the fall, it was a hitting individual, and there's only like 2 other teammates there. It was a really hot day in Alabama, and I hated batting gloves. I never wore batting gloves. So my hands were pretty sweaty. And Chris is trying to show me some new technique I was doing or I need to do. And Jeremy and the pitching staff actually was in the dugout. And I just tried this new technique Coach taught me, and bat went flying in the dugout. And all I heard him say was, "Watch out!" And you can see actually somebody was recording it, and the pitching staff just went down like bowling pins. It was pretty funny.
Best road trip?
Best road trip.
So you're like everybody else. They can say the worst pretty quick. They just can't remember the best.
Yeah, I could definitely name you the worst. There was a lot. We kind of got spoiled. Gulf Shore, or not Gulf Shores. When we went down to play at the Stetson tournament, we got to stay on the beach. That was pretty awesome. SWAC tournament, I think every year that was my favorite. Just the environment, the atmosphere, the adrenaline. That was always by far my favorite trip, probably.
Worst trip?
Mississippi Valley every year. Actually, anytime going to Mississippi, it was terrible.
So Mississippi Valley beats a 10-hour ride to Texas Southern?
Yeah, because we're like ready to play Texas Southern, but we.
Okay, well let's talk about Texas Southern for a minute.
Okay.
The trip to Texas Southern, looking for a place to practice, and we pull up at some random recreational field in the middle of a neighborhood to practice. Remember that trip?
I forgot all about that. Yeah, that.
If you've never seen a bus going around a block 5 times, that was the Alabama State bus, as we were looking to make sure that was the field.
Yeah, we're going through a small neighborhood, a rec field. In our big ASU bus, I think that was probably the funniest thing. We all get off the bus like, okay, we're here to practice.
Yeah, start taking random ground balls in a random grass field.
Yeah.
And realize the actual field is about a block down the street.
Yeah, and the grass was like up to our knees. I think we probably got so many bug bites. We're practicing in short. It was great.
That was the best part about that trip.
Yeah.
But so we've done best, we've done worst. All right. Let's see. I can't ask you best infielder on the left side of the infield because obviously you're going to say you. It's either you or Booty.
Yeah.
What hardest thing in a game? Fielding a ground ball or throwing it across the diamond to first to get the runner?
Probably throwing it.
What did you hate worse, when you made an error or when you struck out? I've seen both, so I can kind of help you and not let you go astray on that one.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't strike out. Yeah, I didn't strike out too much, but it did make me mad when I did. But probably making an error was worse than striking out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you, because when you made an error, you kind of turned and ignored everybody. But
yeah, the face, everybody.
The facial expression. I keep seeing the ring. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, yeah, I wore it just for you.
Yeah, well, you wore it for me and for everybody else because you know who's going to be watching. So
yeah.
But the hardest thing to do, get in the batter's box or play third at home when your dugout's right there by you?
Honestly, when I'm at home, those both were pretty comfortable for me. I think it was more on the road playing third next to somebody else's dugout. I kind of enjoyed that because, like, they're in my ear. They're calling me by name. They're saying my boyfriend's name. They're saying my Instagram name. They knew everything about me. So I think I kind of lived for that. So that was pretty fun.
Besides winning a championship, best memory? And then I think I have a memory I can throw to you after you say best memory.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, you just always think of that championship game. Probably. There's a lot.
You just love how you get put on the spot on these things. And
yeah, that one put me like real quiet.
While she's thinking, for everybody at home, we prep our student athletes before they do interviews. This was not a prep.
Yeah, we're just winging it. Wow. I don't know. Every time we just swept Mississippi Valley, that was a great memory.
What about worst memory?
Well,
Worst Texas Southern moment.
yeah, it really rips your heart out. But senior year championship game, the second one of the day, because we came out of the losers bracket. We beat them the first game. We had to just beat them one more time. That game, that was probably the worst memory. Just knowing that was my last game on my field, and the wind was blowing that day. I could have broke the record. Everything was just bad.
When you talk about records and you talk about getting a chance to play, about going to Georgia State and playing in that postseason tournament for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, that was awesome. So speaking about the game before, we thought everything was over and that was the worst game ever. And then coach was like, well, we have another shot to play. Do you guys want to do it? And me and Booty and Laura were all looking at it. We're like, heck yeah. Let's play as long as we can. So
not just that, but you go over there and you beat UT Martin for the first time.
Yeah. It was cool. Georgia State's field was awesome. It was nice playing in front of our fans one last time. Going to get that W felt good. And then, yeah.
Let's get a Coach Chris moment. Let's share one that comes to mind that, other than shaking her hand, 20 some odd times around in third.
Yeah. So, me and Coach, we have a great relationship now. Like, she's like my second mom. I kind of always looked at her as that when I played, but yeah, when I messed up at third base and I was right there at the home field and the dugout was right there. Literally, I think my first year, all you heard, Laura was playing short and I was playing third, and all you heard was our two names the whole game. So Laura can back me up on that one. So yeah, Coach. We had some fun times. Whenever she brought the clipboard out, that's when you knew you messed up. So every time she brought the clipboard, I'm like, dang.
So that means every time she went to the mound and had the clipboard.
Oh, yeah, she was ripping you a new one.
So you bring up Laura's name, and I might have to have Laura on here because I've got to get her take on this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What about the power all of a sudden she got her senior year?
I was the one that told her that she can hit home runs. And she's like, I can't hit a home run. Next game, she hits 2 in one game against Pine Bluff. I'm like, I thought you couldn't hit a home run. But, yeah, that girl, she could hit. I didn't care where it was. She could hit.
So the ultimate question now, great teammate, great friend, played every year together. When Alabama State, Jackson State play, do we cheer for friend or do we cheer for your alma mater?
See, I was kind of in that.
Put you on the spot. I mean,
yeah, I know, and she's gonna listen to this.
I'm gonna make sure I send her a message and tell her when I'm doing it first.
So when she did play them, I was like, "Oh, it's really hard to go against ASU." But then I was like, "Go, Coach Laura." So honestly, I don't know. That was a tough one, but I definitely was rooting for Laura. Yeah.
Well, let's just say that when you showed up at the complex, wasn't the first year you were gone. Maybe it was the second year. No, it was the second year. It was 2019. It was you, Laura, and a couple of other former teammates that just showed up at the championship. Yep.
I think Deanna
was there, but that just, to me, that speaks volumes of what the program means to you and what you mean to the program.
Yeah, so I remember they were in the tournament that week, and Coach was like, "Get your butt up here. I want to see you. And we had just, at Weber, lost. So our season was done. So we finished, and I remember telling my fiance, I'm like, if they win tonight, Friday night, let's drive up. Just get in the car and let's go to Alabama for the weekend and drive home Sunday. So I remember they won, and we literally got in the car Friday night and drove 7 hours up there, and we were there Saturday.
So we've talked about the baby. We talked about the fiance. I keep seeing another ring flash up on the screen, though. You want to show everybody at home what ring you're wearing today?
Yeah, so I got my big first time championship ring on. So yeah, I wear this every game when I coach.
That was the next question, is how often does that come out of the box?
During softball season, I wear it on big games. So like conference games, I'll wear it. Conference tournament, I'll wear it. If we're playing like a ranked team, I'll wear it. I've actually had umpires come up to me and look at it and they're like, "You played at Alabama State? Oh wait, you had dark hair, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, I remember umpiring.
Only one.
Yeah. So they remembered my dark hair and that I played third base. So.
Well, I can tell you this: if anybody wants to go through the gamut of hair color, rosters are still online, and your headshots are still on every one of them.
Yeah, they just have one every year.
We'll never take them down because it's part of history. You were here, so people will get to go through the gamut of hair colors, and and then they can add this one to the collection.
Yeah, one of each shade.
So before anybody gets mad at me, just so we can be on the record, baby is asleep. So therefore, we have not decided to bring the baby on screen. Next time as the baby gets older, we'll get her on and have you hold. And that way we can actually see the entire family, and Brandon can be on there with you next time.
All right. Yeah, I'll bring the whole gang.
Might as well, the whole gang, I would say the whole gang, but the baby wasn't here at the time you were here.
True. Just
the whole gang.
Yeah.
But Kendall, we appreciate you taking time out of your day. I mean, I know it's a little weird now being summer, which is kind of a sense of normalcy because it is summer. You just can't do the things during the summer that you normally would do.
Right.
But again, we appreciate you taking time out of your day, time away from your family to spend some time talking with us about Alabama State, about Weber, about you, about your family, and about everything else.
Well, thank you for having me. I definitely miss you guys, and I miss bugging you on the bus. So hope you're doing good.
I was gonna let that part slide. We'll talk about that next time. We'll just
hopefully you have somebody new bugging you.
That's why I drive everywhere.
Smart.
No, but for Kendall Core, this is Travis Jarome saying thank you for listening and watching Hornet Nation Unfiltered. We'll be back next week with another special guest. We'll announce that sometime during the week so you'll know who it is. Again, thank you for listening to Hornet Nation Unfiltered. We'll be back next week, and until then. You've been listening to Hornet Nation Unfiltered. We'll be back next week with another special guest from Alabama State's Fast. Until next time.